For those of you who are unaware, Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy, sells MyPillows. He is a Trump brown-noser of epic proportions. Most people probably know that. Well, recently, Donald Trump had his Mar-a-Lago mansion raided by the FBI for possession of documents, like presidential classified documents. He took them when he left the White House, apparently. Got himself in all kinds of trouble over it, including but not limited to an FBI raid. And the right is absolutely melting down about it. They're saying that this is like a third world country, we're raiding presidents, and all this other ridiculous nonsense. If the dude broke the law, then he should face consequences for it. And he did. Well, as it turns out, the news has been slowly leaking out that Donald Trump found out that there was a rat in his mansion, Mar-a-Lago, that worked there, that told the FBI what documents he had and where they were stored, and that's why they went in. Supposedly. That's what I've heard. The story's still developing. So take it with a grain of salt. So they bounce between there's a rat in Mar-a-Lago and Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong, this is persecution, and the FBI planted the files on him and all this other stuff. They're just trying to come up with a solid attack. That's how these things work. Let me explain how being on defense and being on offense works in a public sphere. The left and the right are constantly fighting with each other, and public sentiment sways left or right based on who seems to be winning culture wars at the moment. Whoever is winning culture wars is who wins elections, generally speaking. So right now, gas prices being high is a culture war issue that the right is winning. Donald Trump being raided by the FBI for stealing classified documents is a culture war issue, and they're trying to regain ground and take back the narrative so that it's a culture war issue that they're winning. We don't really know who's winning this culture war issue yet because polls haven't come out recently to indicate if Donald Trump is popular still or if Biden is more popular or less popular or what. We don't know if this is a culture war issue that Republicans are winning or Democrats are winning yet. And that's why Donald Trump is throwing out as many talking points as possible regarding him being raided at Mar-a-Lago. So instead of just going with the standard don't say anything at all, which is what you're supposed to do if you're on the defensive, just not say a word, instead of doing that, Donald Trump has been throwing out a number of attacks. They planted evidence on me. I didn't steal documents in the first place. The FBI sent people into my mansion to spy on me. He's throwing out as many as he can to see which ones stick. And if he really wants to know which ones are going to stick, all he has to do is go to places like patriots.win, which is an extremist message board that fully stands behind Donald Trump, always, and see which ones they're talking about the most. So what we're about to watch here is Mike Lindell reacting live as it happens, as the situation unfolds, to Trump being raided at his Mar-a-Lago estate. Mike Lindell isn't really somebody who comes up with propagandistic explanations for these culture war issues. He's not really somebody who comes up with these ideas. He's somebody who repeats them. He is what we would call a repeater in this world, okay? So when he reacts to all of this stuff, we're going to find out exactly how good or how bad at coming up with propagandistic talking points Mike Lindell is. If it's piss poor, if it's just him repeating the same garbage over and over, like, oh, I can't believe they did this, this is unprecedented, these people are evil, well, no, he's really not that good and he doesn't know what to say yet. But if he comes up with something creative, some propagandistic talking point that's pretty creative, you know, I got to give him a little bit of credit for that. He knows how to create propaganda on the spot. That's the kind of thing that lawyers like Ted Cruz usually do. That's what being a lawyer really is, coming up with new framing methods for a lot of this stuff. So, without further ado, let's watch this Mike Lindell clip where he reacts live on air to Trump being raided at Mar-a-Lago. And as you can see, we're going to be playing Super Metroid while we do it. I'm already partway through the game. I think I'm on my way to the wrecked ship now. So anyway, let's watch. This is obviously on Lindell TV, which is his TV show. I went to his website, frankspeech.com or something, and just perused through the videos and found this one. The title of the video, by the way, is FBI Raid on Mar-a-Lago breaks while Mike Lindell is on air, and he responds.
This is the Lindell Report, bringing you news combined with hope by offering practical and achievable action points to assist you in defending and preserving faith and freedoms. And now, here is your host, Mike Lindell.
Dude, this is terrible. This is like, I guess this is like their opening to their show. I don't think I've ever seen their TV show before.
Welcome to Lindell TV. I'm Brandon House. Mike Lindell will be with us in just a moment. And of course, we have a big primary day tomorrow. Primaries in the state of Wisconsin, primaries in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah, the results of those primaries that he's talking about were actually very favorable to Donald Trump. A lot of Trump's endorsements won elections, including but not limited to Jaron Jackson. He won his primary. Not great, to say the least. It was a bad day for democracy on Tuesday. The primaries were just a day or two before this TV show aired, I believe.
At around 6:15 p.m. Central Time by Attorney General candidate Doug Warlow. And then in my broadcast tonight, we'll be joined by Adam Steen and Tim Rantham. Adam Steen is running for the State House in Wisconsin against Robin Vos, the Speaker of the House. Apparently, Robin Vos is doing such a great job for the Democrats, they didn't even bother to put up a candidate to run as a Democrat. Apparently, Rhino Robin Vos fills the slot for both the Republicans and the Democrats. Adam Steen is running against Robin Vos and is endorsed by Mike Lindell and President Donald Trump. Adam Steen will join me tonight in my broadcast, as well as will Tim Rantham. But tonight we'll be joined by Doug Wardlow, who's running for Attorney General of Minnesota. So again, I repeat, big primary day tomorrow in at least two states, concentrating tonight on Minnesota and Wisconsin here on Lindell TV tonight. Joining us now is the host of the Lindell Report, Mike Lindell. Hi, Mike.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, Brandon, I'm sorry I had to move stuff. I'm on the road,
You're on the road? You look like you're in a house, and it's actually a beautiful house.
Didn't even have time to wear a suit.
That's a beautiful backdrop. That's a beautiful setting you're in.
Well, yeah, so that makes up for not having the suit on, right?
Oh, apparently it's just a green screen? Okay. Is it a picture of his house? What a weird thing to have as a backdrop.
Yeah, it's pretty pretty. Yep.
Okay. What we're going to do before Doug comes on, we are going to run, I want to tell everybody about this weekend. We had an amazing time at CPAC, and Brandon just told you about all the candidates. Did you tell him about the Robin Vos?
We did.
You're having him on, Adam on tonight, right?
Yep, I told about that. In fact, that Robin Vos is doing such a good job for the Democrats, they didn't even put up a candidate to run against him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm going to be doing some robo.
He's going to be doing, huh? Interesting. Sounds like a musical or something. Is he going to be working on a musical?
Recordings for Adam in a little bit here as soon as I get off. But I've been so busy. But anyway, you guys, it was an amazing time at CPAC. We had, I ended up spending all 4 days there. I had problems with my plane, so I couldn't fly to Wisconsin to miss one of my first rallies for our great president, Donald Trump. But it turned out to work out because they played my whole CPAC speech at the rally, Brandon, as you know.
Wow.
And I got to meet some great people at CPAC. It was absolutely amazing. I had a lot of divine appointments. In fact, that's where I just was. I was on on the. We learned a lot. There were a lot of people there that had a lot of things we're going to show at the.
Oh my God, guys, I'm sorry. I know that this is probably boring on Metroid, Super Metroid, but I have to get this. I have to. This is actually a really tough thing to get because you got to jump exactly right. Hang on. I will get this thing. I will. There we go. Jesus Christ. All right, let's keep listening.
New stuff for the Moment of Truth Summit, everybody. And I want to tell everyone, this is the most important event that I think of our lifetime. And I really believe it's going to be historical.
Your mom's an important event.
It's going to save this country. You all need to do one thing, and that's get people to watch it. Tell everyone about Frank's Speech. Download the app. Go to frankspeech.com. Tell everybody about it. And right now, Brandon, can you, I want to, do we have time to run before Doug comes on to run that speech? I really want to show people it.
We do, Mike. And then while that's running, it's a 3-minute. And while that's running, answer your phone. We got some breaking news we want to brief you on before we report on it. So
well, no, it's not a 3 minutes. It's about 15 minutes. So why don't you do the breaking news?
Oh, here we go. This is where he finds out that Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate was raided by the FBI because Trump stole classified documents from the White House. Ready?
Well, let's run it if you don't mind. Then we'll tell you what it is to comment on.
Okay, it's 15. The speech is about 12 minutes long, Brandon.
Okay. Well, okay. All right. Well, if you want it, here's what we're getting. Yahoo News is reporting that President Trump has just put out a statement about the FBI searching Mar-a-Lago.
Unreal.
And the
wow.
quote, they even broke into my safe.
Well, it's just an attack on our country. It's you guys. This Moment of Truth Summit can't come soon enough, everybody. I mean, we're 10.
So his reaction to Donald Trump being raided at Mar-a-Lago is, you absolutely must listen to my symposiums and my summits and whatever other things he's got going on. His reaction is to plug his own stuff so far. Okay?
The article says the FBI searched the Mar-a-Lago home of Donald Trump. The former president said in a statement, quote, they even broke into my safe, end quote. Trump said on Monday in a lengthy statement describing it as a, quote, raid, end quote.
You know what? First of all, it turns out the FBI actually had a search warrant. Everything was done above board and legal and approved by the highest people in the Department of Justice. There was no persecution taking place. It was all completely above board, and the search warrant was given to Donald Trump before they actually searched, from my understanding, or given to the people at Mar-a-Lago or whatever else. That's the first thing to keep in mind. The second thing to keep in mind is if Donald Trump hadn't stolen classified documents from the White House, classified documents, people, then he wouldn't be in this situation. As far as I'm concerned, every part of this is Donald Trump's doing. Every part.
It was not immediately clear why the agents were present at Mar-a-Lago, but he said it was, quote,
No, it was immediately apparent because they gave him a search warrant explaining exactly what they were doing and why. It was immediately apparent. The moment they showed up, they had to give him that search warrant.
Siege, raided, and occupied by a large group of FBI agents, end quote. Quote, after working and cooperating with the relevant government agencies, this unannounced raid on my home was not necessary or appropriate, end quote, he said. The FBI and U.S. Attorney's offices in Washington for the Southern District of Florida did not immediately respond to requests for comment. This is being reported just minutes ago by Yahoo News.
Unbelievable. What?
Not really. It's perfectly believable, and it's perfectly predictable. If Donald Trump hadn't stolen classified documents from the White House, they wouldn't be doing this. Well, they may still be doing it over the January 6th stuff. I don't know. But they wouldn't be doing it for this very specific reason. They wouldn't be doing it because he stole the documents, at the very least. The whole thing was believable, predictable, and I honestly cannot even believe that Donald Trump didn't see it coming.
What's our country becoming, Brandon? You know, and It's all, you almost can't even believe it. Any other time you go, well, that can't even be true.
And that's exactly why I was like, well, let's run this and then talk to Mike, because you
Wow.
I see it here. I see it here on Yahoo, but you can't. I mean, it almost needed a minute or two to process it.
Has any other news outlets picked it up?
I have just received CNN, Fox. I'm getting texts that CNN, Fox are all covering it.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I guess I wonder why the FBI hasn't come after me or the January 6th, because I told them I would love to come to their little charade. I'll show you stuff of what happened in our country. Even though I wasn't there on January 6th, Brand, I would love to come and show them, this is why the Moment of Truth Summit can't come soon enough, everybody. You need to tell everybody, every single person you know. We have everything, Brandon. We have every little piece that we've done all the work for a year and a half. People on the ground, everybody has done all the work. All you out there have to do that are watching is get people to watch it. Share Frank's speech. Tell everybody about.
So that is his response or reaction to it, to get people to watch his social media stuff more. Anybody surprised by that?
Frank's speech right now. Brand, I'm going to send out a notification here right now too. If you want to, why don't you tell people about some of our products? I'm going to tell Caitlin to send out a notification.
Okay, so now I guess they're going to advertise their stupid products. Interesting.
Okay. Let's take you over, and while he's talking later, I'll do more searching, folks, on what's going on with this reported raid, and this statement put out by President Trump tonight, describing it as a, quote, raid, in quote. Even
it was actually an executed search warrant is what it was, but okay.
I guess getting into his personal safe. We're going to go to Frank's store, frankspeech.com, frankspeech.com. Let me go to another browser. All right, we're going to go over to frankspeech.com. And when you get to frankspeech.com, go to store at the top of the page, store. There we go. It's loading. And you'll see we have some specials. My Pillow bed sheets, all sizes on sale.
Yeah, I'm just going to skip past his advertisements. I don't really care. Completely irrelevant to me. I find it really interesting that these people have, like, Mike Lindell. He's set up like a news network very similar to InfoWars, the way that InfoWars operates. You go to their website. Let me just show you out of sheer curiosity and interest. This is Frank's Speech TV right here. This is like their website, frankspeech.com, right? And it has a news segment. You can click News Home and read articles about stuff. It's all completely nonsense, obviously. It's all got a far-right extremist, borderline QAnon bent to it. But they have a news section. They have a TV section where you can watch different episodes of this thing or that thing. Frank Clips, Bannon House Live. They have different shows on here. I think Steve Bannon has a show on Lindell TV, and I believe Roger Stone does also. I could be wrong on the Roger Stone thing. Maybe not. And then there's the Lindell Report, of course. Emerald Robinson has a show on here. And then he's got his Cyber Symposium. He's got podcasts. You've got Mike's audiobook that you can listen to. Just click Podcasts Home. They've got the Ledger Report podcast with Graham Ledger. It's set up very much like a full-blown news organization. And then you've got live TV. You can watch, like, TV channels here. Simul TV Cowboy Theater, Simul TV Providence Network, watch Lindell TV live 24/7, and then TV2. They've got 2 different Lindell TV channels. And then they've got the store. And they advertise the items on the store in the broadcasts and the podcast and all that stuff. For some reason, they're not giving me the store itself, the actual store. But anyway, that's how it works. And interestingly enough, InfoWars works exactly the same way. Let's just go to Infowars.com. I'll show you. It's exactly the same setup. You've got different categories: featured, special reports, opinions, U.S. news. You can scroll through and click on these different things. Now, InfoWars has a separate website for video clips called band.video. You can see it in the corner. That's just the name of their like video hosting website or platform or whatever. But InfoWars as a whole operates the exact same way as Lindell TV does, and they sell supplements instead of pillows and whatever else. True News also operates this way with Rick Wiles. Exact same setup. You know, you go to the True News website and they've got these news stories linked to these videos, and they've got a normal, they've got episodes. They do like an hour a day or something like that where they talk about stuff. It's really, really interesting how these people set this stuff up, and I've considered setting something up similarly on my website. You know, set it up where all of my videos can be viewed like this. You can go to my Teespring store, or you can read articles that talk about this thing or that thing. I think that would be really, really cool to have a setup like this. But I don't know. That's just me. Anyways, that's Lindell TV, and that's how it's set up. That's why he's advertising his store and stuff like that. So let's just jump forward a little bit, because I really don't care about what he has to sell at his store. Okay, this looks like they're getting started again. Let's listen from this point.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Brandon. And by the way, everybody, I just got attacked today by the New York Times called me up. And by the way, I want to tell everybody, I talked to Cheryl, text me today. The speech you're going to watch here at CPAC, I believe I did all the things. I thank the horrible journalists, the media out there for helping spread the word. The fake news journalists, help them spread the word. And then, of course, I badmouth. Remember, guys, I believe they're way better than Fox because at least they report stuff. But
yeah, Lindell absolutely hates Fox News right now because, for one thing, they won't have him on. And for another thing, they're not talking enough about Trump and election fraud and everything else. So he is a little persnickety about Fox right now, interestingly enough.
It went completely silent on me. And I put that out there, and I included Cheryl. But Cheryl texted me, and she said, Mike, I'm always here for you. So Cheryl's watching right now, and I want to say that we did accomplish the goal this weekend, everybody, because it went out everywhere at CPAC. So all of the news, there's articles all over the place attacking me and talking about the Moment of Truth Summit. So we did absolutely accomplish what we set out for. There was to get the word out, everybody. And I want to tell everybody that the New York Times attacked me today, Brandon, and I might invite them to the Truth Summit. I'm going to see how bad her article is.
Yeah, so if you're not sure what he's talking about, he is holding another cyber symposium. If you weren't around a couple years ago or whatever, he did some stupid cyber symposium thing where he tried to prove with evidence that the election was stolen. And it was all complete nonsense. He did not have the evidence he claimed to have. And I guess he's holding another cyber symposium, apparently. So there's that.
She was trying to tie me in with this thing that they're attacking Matt DePerno and some other people in Michigan. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, they're attacking them. I just got a text from Jenna Ellis. She said, can you believe this about about President Trump? This is where we're at, everybody. And I want everybody, this is perfect timing. I want everybody to watch my speech at CPAC. I can't tell you, these are just some more examples today. We have to get rid of the machines. This is it.
He has some weird obsession with voting machines, and he deeply, to the bottom of his heart, believes that the election was stolen through voting machines. It's complete nonsense, but he's going to parrot these ideas anyways.
This is what all these attacks, it all goes back to November 3rd of 2020. When they took this election, they continue to steal them with machines. And this is what they're trying to hide. They know we're right over target. Everything's going to come down to the 19th or the 20th and 21st of this August. the Moment of Truth Summit. So why don't we show this, Brad? We'll come back with Doug, and we'll get Doug elected.
The next guest.
Okay, so I guess this is like a clip from some congressman or some governor or something they're trying to get elected. Is that right?
The next guest really doesn't need an introduction. He's a good friend of ours, and I'm sure every one of you have had a My Pillow. If it's
Yeah, I'm not sure who they're talking about.
not on your bed, I'm sure you have given them as gifts. You may even have some My slippers or My sheets or My, whatever. I think he has one of
My God, this is cringy. No, I don't have any of those things.
everything now. And there's also a new issue. I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs in here, and I know my husband hates Amazon. And we've always been looking for a place to go purchase items that we know they're made in the U.S. and that we can support our own commerce, and especially things that are made in America. So he has now My Store. So if you all are interested in purchasing items that are made right here in the United States by American workers, go to My Store. Mike, obviously, is going to tell you a lot about what he's doing, and he's got some great things to talk about today, and especially a lot about election integrity. And he's actually leaving here today to go to Wisconsin, and he and Carrie Lake and President Trump will be there later this afternoon talking about what's going on in Wisconsin and what the important things are. But to tell you a little bit about Mike, he's a fighter, and we are in a war.
Yeah, the war language is really concerning to me. They keep talking about how they're in a war. They're in a new civil war. They've said that type of thing a lot recently.
It's going to take each and every one of us. And Mike will share his story today, and hopefully will motivate you to join with him and the rest of us here at CPAC as we take back our country, as we work to win back what we're fighting for, which is our freedom. And not only to win it back, but also to make sure it never happens again. So
the election was not stolen. There was complete election integrity in 2020. It was the most secure election in U.S. history. And saying otherwise means you just live in a delusional fantasy land. Seriously.
So with that, because the clock tells me I have 2 minutes left, but I really want you to hear from Mike today. I want you to hear what he's been doing, and he probably is the most canceled person in the United States.
That's weird because Alex Jones says the exact same thing about himself. I thought Alex Jones was the most canceled person. Who's the most canceled? Somebody's lying to me.
Everybody's canceled him. But you know what? They're on the losing end because Mike is a fighter, and he's a winner, and he's going to win. And we've all read the last chapter, and we know what the results are going to be. And
I assume what they mean is the last chapter of the Bible? What the last chapter of what?
We'll win in the end. We're just in a war. It's a battle, but we win. Thank you so much for coming to CPAC, especially supporting our Texas event. And hopefully you will have a great experience, and we look forward to seeing you throughout the conference. Have a blessed day. Mike, are you back there? My honor, Mike Lindell.
God, this music is so cringy. It feels like something I'd hear on Saved by the Bell. You guys remember that TV show?
Wow, thank you all. Thank you. I'm going to show this. I'm going to do something a little different. I want to show
Please do.
you a little clip we made, and we made two of them. One of them is 3 minutes long, and it's going to tell you about an upcoming event I have that's going to change this country and the world forever. And it's August 20th and 21st, so if you can roll that first, please.
Today, I address you not only as a citizen of the United States, but as an American, standing for all humanity. For the first time in the history of our nation, technology has been activated that attacks our Constitution with a capacity to destroy our future.
Absolute proof of the biggest cyber attack in history.
We must remove voting machines and any electronic devices from all elections forever. Elections.
The sad thing is that this is just complete delusional fantasy land. Seriously, the voting machines are not creating fraudulent results or any of that stuff. This is all delusion. Seriously. This is the result of a guy just refusing to give up on the fact that he lost. That's what's happening here. Dude cannot accept the fact that he lost an election. It's sad, truthfully.
Have consequences. These selections are transforming the spirit of our country.
If the election of 2020 didn't happen, we would never, ever, ever have gotten to this great place we're going to get to. Trust me on that. Ever. This was all God's plan, and we are in the greatest revival for Jesus in history.
Mike Lindell presents live the Moment of Truth Summit on frankspeech.com.
Well, we are in the greatest revival for Jesus in history, and I want to tell you, I want to compare the 2020 election will go down as the most important election in history, and here's why. I'll tell you, when I did my first infomercial on October 7, 2011, I was living in my sister's basement, and
he's told this story before, even recently. He went on Greg Locke's, he went to his church to give some guest speaker slot or whatever else, and he told a similar story about the first infomercial he did and how it skyrocketed him to success. He went from 40 employees to 600 or some other thing like that. This is just him talking about his success, being the pillow man.
I had like 10 employees, and I did this dream of an infomercial, and we launched it that day. And 40 days later, I had 500 employees. We were the #1 infomercial in the world.
It's weird he gave me those numbers because the numbers that I gave you earlier, 40 to 600, are the exact numbers that he gave at his Greg Locke event. I believe, that's released on my Unfiltered channel. You guys can go back and check it if you want. I'm pretty confident he said he went from 40 employees to 600, and now he seems to be changing the number. That's weird, right?
For the next 6 months, we took in $100 million. But I woke up that day.
$6 million in debt, right?
And I'm in tears. I'm going, I was $6 million in debt.
Yeah, I've heard this story before, and when he told this story before, he actually lied all the way through it. Seriously, he lied through the entire story. He told this story about being addicted to drugs and everything else. I've been addicted to drugs. I was addicted to heroin for years, and I happen to know for a fact that he lied about some of the things that he claimed. For example, here's one of the lies he told in his drug addiction story. He claimed that the 4 big drug kingpins in the city of Minneapolis approached him in his house and said to him, "Mike, you're ruining your life with these drugs that we're selling you. We're not selling you anymore." That's not something drug dealers do, by the way. I don't know if you guys have never been involved in it before or whatever else. I can tell you I have been, and that's not what they do. It was just lie after lie after lie from Mike Lindell. It's a fascinating story. The dude is, as it turns out, not a billionaire, but a multi-millionaire. I thought he was a billionaire at first. He's not. Dude's a multi-millionaire and came from drug addiction. His story is amazing enough. He doesn't have to lie about it. Just tell us the truth. I don't understand why he lies about this story, but anyway, keep listening to it because it's kind of ridiculous.
And it took a couple years to dig out of that, but I just prayed. I said, God, what went wrong? What did I do wrong? But I learned so much from the spring of 2012, where the corruption was, where the mistakes were made. So much was revealed over those next 2 years, where if 2012 hadn't happened to my pillow, I wouldn't be where I'm at now with that platform God's given me for such a time we're in right now. And if you compare that, all the changes I made to where now 76 million My Pillows is sold, over 2,000 employees and all that part, it's the same thing as the 2020 election. Now, I'll tell you, if we would have went to bed on at 3 in the morning, if they hadn't overrode the algorithms, if our great President Donald Trump and all of you had not overrode the algorithms of the machines, just like Carrie Lake just did last night, right?
That was like a rerun, right? That was a rerun. Okay, she gets up by 12,000 votes in the middle of the night. Shut down the machines. Hurry, we got to do something. What are we going to do? Well, they couldn't do it this time because they overrode it. Okay, just like in 2020, you think of this, if we would have went to bed and if they would have predicted right, they didn't know that Donald Trump was going to get 83 million votes, everybody.
This is just complete delusion. This did not happen. He lives in a delusional fantasy land, seriously. He really does.
That's the fact. Biden only got about 64 million, okay? But we would have all went to bed, and Biden would have won, and we would have never known. And we've all been around going, can you believe that what happened to our kids, our children? They brainwashed them in college, the media. You know, everyone's going, we've turned into a communist country. That's what would have happened. But God said, no, he gave us grace. He gave us all of the stuff that happened from back then. Do you know, I prayed on January 4th. On January 4th, when they had that runoff in Georgia, the two...
If you're unfamiliar with like the history of it, Donald Trump lost the election unequivocally in like mid-November is roughly when we knew that he lost. But there was a runoff election. We hadn't decided who had won the Georgia Senate seats, either of them yet. So we had a runoff election, basically, and Democrats won both runoff elections. It was close, but we won in the end. That's what he's talking about.
Senators, I prayed that they would steal them both. And what's going, Mike, you did this. No, let me tell you, if I was their marketer, I would have said, give them back a senator so they shut up about this election and this election crime. If they would have done that, everyone would have went into a mode. Maybe not all of you, but most people would have said, let's just stop. We still have the Senate. We'll get them back in 2022.
No, they still would have cried and screamed and complained and said the Democrats stole it, even if they got senators, because in the 2020 election, they still won Congress seats. They still won elections. They just lost Donald Trump. That's all. It's not like they lost every single election. They just lost the presidential election, and they used that as like a pretext to claim that it was stolen. Completely ridiculous, complete nonsense, top to bottom.
Red wave, and the next time would be blue wave, red wave, all this uniparty stuff going on. But instead, they stole them both, and
they were not stolen. No one is even claiming that the Georgia runoffs were stolen. Nobody is even claiming that there was fraud in Georgia at the time or any of that stuff. He lives in a delusional fantasy land. He really does. If you want to make claims like that, you have to back it up with evidence. I can't believe I even have to say this.
Everyone's going, oh, now what do we do? Well, they had a backup plan. What did they do? To silence us. They had January 6th. On January 7th is very significant that we got through January 7th, and here's why.
What? Okay, so the left, is he saying the left committed January 6th? Like that was the left's doing? Is that what he's trying to tell us?
January 7th is the day they tried to silence us forever. 1.2 million Americans lost their crooked Vimeos, YouTubes, Suckabucks, Facebook, Twitter, deplatformed church.
What the hell is a Suckabucks?
Churches deplatformed, not just our great president, Donald Trump. They tried to silence our voices. Conservative media, that one of them rhymes with Fox, went completely silent about the
Okay, Fox does not rhyme with Fox. I can't believe I have to say this.
Election, okay? They went silent about it. They won't talk to you about the election. They won't even talk. We have 2,000 mules on there. That has nothing to do with machines. It's disgusting. Okay? But they didn't silence our voices, okay? And over the last year and a half now, here's where we're at, and here's what's going to get our country back. The judges. And everyone's going, Mike, the judges, they didn't have our back then. Let me tell you, I'll tell you who didn't have our back were all the legislatures. We've learned now the Republican legislatures in a lot of these states, they turned their back on us. We've learned.
No, they didn't turn their back on anybody. There's only so much anyone can do to overturn a lawfully decided election. The election was correctly decided as having gone to Biden. There was nothing illegal about it, and as such, it wasn't possible for legislatures and judges and all these other people to come in and change the results of a lawfully decided election. It doesn't work that way in a democracy, in a functioning democracy. But Mike Lindell is doing everything he can to make people believe that the election was not lawfully decided. It's honestly sad. Really, really sad.
Where we have learned so much from the 2020 election, where the horrible, you call them rhinos, I call them criminal rhinos. You go to Brad Rasmussen down in Georgia, it's disgusting what he's done.
This is stochastic terrorism. He's attacking Brad Raffensperger, which is if you're unfamiliar, he's the Republican Secretary of State in Georgia who determined that correctly that there was no election fraud in the state of Georgia. Certainly not enough to overturn the election or whatever else. There's no systemic voter fraud like Mike Lindell and Trump and everybody else wanted to claim that there was. And since he made that determination, they have absolutely lost their shit over it. They can't stand the guy. They're demonizing him, saying that he's corrupt and evil and all this other stuff, when in reality he was just doing his job. He was just doing his job.
Okay, and there's a blocker in every...
And by the by, if you're unfamiliar with the term stochastic terrorism, I used it a second ago, it's basically where people demonize other people in an attempt to get somebody to, or they demonize them enough that some nutter butter in their audience who is not, mentally well does something about it. Bill O'Reilly used stochastic terrorism against Dr. Tiller, an abortion doctor. Glenn Beck used stochastic terrorism against an organization. I forget the name of it now. This is pretty standard stuff. Stefan Molyneux, yeah, he used stochastic terrorism against people regularly. Absolutely disgusting, and it should be illegal. It should be against the law, in my opinion. But, I guess our laws have not progressed enough to do something about stochastic terrorism. It's deeply, deeply wrong.
Well, Rusty Bowers is gone, everybody. How about that?
Yeah, Rusty Bowers was Speaker of the House of Arizona, I believe. And he was, Donald Trump specifically asked him to do something about the election when he didn't have the power to. And they hated him for it. They absolutely hated him for it. So, yeah, stochastic terrorism against Rusty Bowers.
You got the blocker Robin Voss up in Wisconsin. The president just endorsed his opponent. God bless him, because Robin Voss needs to go. Okay, these are things that are going to happen. But I want to tell you about the judges. You go back a year and a half ago, and those judges, not one judge looked at evidence. Not one. Actually,
there was no evidence. That's the problem. That's why judges didn't look at evidence. There was no evidence to be found in any of these court cases. They were talking about evidence that they found, and they said, look at all the evidence we have. But when they got to court, they didn't present any. There's no evidence.
I take them back. In Antrim County, Michigan, the judge did look there. If you all heard that on the news, he looked, but he didn't rule on it. He said, I don't want to be the first guy to be able to talk about this. The judges had fear back then. They have families too. They're like all of us. They have friends, family, kids, children, grandchildren. We were in an anomaly back then. We're still in an anomaly in history. But now it's different. They've all learned so much. People that were over here are now in the middle because they see how our country's being destroyed. This isn't a Democrat thing. The Democratic Party just likes that they were picked in this fraud election. We skipped right over socialism to communism is where we're at.
He doesn't know what either of those words mean, and no, we didn't.
But these judges now are getting braver. Look at the judge in Florida that made the great ruling and said the masks are nonsense on airplanes and no mandates, right? That changed history. Look at Roe v. Wade right in the middle of all this. What a miracle, right? We have a judge. Here's another thing with Carrie Lake. Carrie, you know, we're doing preliminary injunctions to get rid of the machines in all these states. We started with Arizona 2 weeks ago. You're not going to see this on Fox News. You need to go to Frank's speech. You need to go to my platform. You're going to hear it. That's why I built it, so we could get the word out. But this
You're not going to hear it on any of these other networks because it's complete nonsense.
Judge in Arizona agreed to look at the case, and he was an Obama-appointed judge. He's just doing his job as a judge. I got terrible ones out in D.C. One of them was Trump appointed with the big fight of the machines there. But this judge looked at it, and I want you to think of this. This judge looked at this. It was a hearing 2 weeks ago. Looks at all the evidence of these machines, and the relief is to get rid of them and do paper ballots and hand count it. Okay. He looked at it. Now compare it to this. If I told you, if I'm in the state of Arizona, or let's say I'm here in Texas, and I said, hey, do you know we have reason to believe that all your cars don't have brakes? And then finally you get a judge to look at it, and he goes, ooh, that's not good. And then he's got to make a ruling of why you should either still drive on these cars with no brakes or get rid of them. So that judge, but he's looking at whatever he rules, either way is a win. He looked at it, everybody. And judge after judge is going to start looking at this stuff. There's stuff going on in every state right now. And I want to tell you, the way we're at right now, I am having what you've seen in there. I deal with all 50 states. We have a call once a week, millions of people from around this country that have been fighting in the grassroots and lawsuits. There's stuff. Every state I get on the call, they say, we had the most fraud in our state. We had the most fraud in our state. So what we're doing, it's the Moment of Truth Summit. August 20th and 21st. I'm telling you, if you get everyone, it's going to be live streamed on Frank's Speech. Get the app now if you don't have it. It'll be live streamed there to the world. At the Cyber Symposium, I had about 3-4 million people. This, I need at least 100 million people to watch. It doesn't fail if people watch. I'm telling you, all the pieces are there. I need one prayer that millions and millions can watch this. We're going to have all 50 states on stage the first day. And it's invite only, by the way, for that part. But all 50 states are going to get on there in alphabetical order and say what their current footprint is. Okay.
So basically, he's holding another cyber symposium or whatever, and he's going to get each state or a representative from each state up there to propagandize to people about what they think is wrong with their state and how it's being run right now.
Then that night we're showing Selection Code. It's a movie by Lara Logan. That's a world premiere. I'm giving it away free to the world. This is a full feature film that could make millions in the box office. I want the world to be saved and get it out there.
Yeah, I don't think it could make millions at the box office, but okay.
So that, and then the next day we're having the trial of the machines. Nice name, right?
The trial of the machines? Oh my God. So this guy is doing like a full-blown Salem witch trial of voting machines, seems to me, right?
Trial of the machines. And they don't get to come, just kind of like that big charade out there at the January.
That's what she said.
6th garbage. Okay? By the way, if January 6th, I've said I'll come and show you the evidence. They won't let me come. You know?
That's because you don't have any evidence, first of all. And second, didn't they call him in to testify? I think that they did. Maybe I'm incorrect. They just didn't want him to testify uncensored live on air so that he could propagandize to the entire world. Totally understandable, honestly. I'm on the same page with them.
I've offered, come on, I'd love to be there, Pelosi, tell you what a charade this is. You guys all know the FBI ruled there was a year ago on June 26th that there was no collusion with Donald Trump or his.
That is not what the FBI said, actually.
Backers. It should have been over then. It's a joke. But anyway, there's another thing I want to tell you. The last thing I want to say is at that event, we're going to have people up on stage from other countries. And this is very important you hear me on this. Over 54 countries have now been taken by the machines or are getting taken by the machines. And you never get to go back. Venezuela, Australia, they're gone. You don't get to vote out the machines once they're there. Once they're there, you don't get your country.
Australia does not use voting machines.
God gave us grace, and he gave us, this is not one time in history. This is the best time to be alive, because history is going to look back and say, every one of you have taken a part of this to save our country and get rid of these machines before we're gone forever. Because if like Ronald Reagan said, if the lights go out here, they go out everywhere. The whole world is watching.
No, I think that's a quote from Lost, actually, but that's neither here nor there.
We can't, now, if we don't get rid of them by the fall, all of them, we're going to have, everybody's going to go vote these great candidates like Carrie Lake and override the machines, and we're going to get rid of them eventually, all of them. And I'll end this with this. God's given us grace for such a time as this, so we have to make this the greatest revival for Jesus Christ in history. Thank you all. God bless you.
God, I wish they'd stop playing this terrible music. So yeah, I mean, that's Mike Lindell propagandizing wildly about the election, as usual. Said some really crazy and interesting stuff in there. Honestly, absolutely something else.